home point has been updated. Please check it on the map.
All right, good evening, everyone, and thanks for flying with me for an aerial tour of Kiser Lake State Park, which is just outside of St. Paris, Ohio, in western Ohio. I ascended to about right at 250 feet in altitude. Now the stick going full throttle, and it looks like we're going to hit about 21 miles per hour. As we look at Kiser Lake, we are just about 15 minutes before sunset. So this should be a good time to take a look at the lake. Close to near the end of the day, and we should have a good view of the sky just at about sunset time when we come back. I flew here and did trial one of this video just a few minutes ago, but I had a lot of signal issues where I was at. Where I'm standing now is along a little built-out road designed for fishing, and there were two gentlemen here fishing when I got here, so I went back, about 50 yards away, closer to the shoreline, where there's a lot more trees in that area, and being closer to the shoreline, I had a lot of signal issues as other trees got in the area the further I flew down the bank. I've discovered from flying over a lot of lakes and other areas just in cities, it doesn't take hardly any trees between you and the drone for you to have signal issues. So anyone else considering the Mavic Air 2, just be on the lookout for that. Still though, again, it's so much better than a lot of other drones, including the DJI Spark, which is what I had before. That little collection of houses off there on the right side of the frame that we have just about completely passed is called Grandview Heights, a little unincorporated community that's right on the edge of Kiser Lake. Now turning to our left a little bit to stay out over the water, and we'll head down here more to this southeast part of the lake where the public campgrounds at Kiser Lake State Park are, and also where the public beach is. I'm flying in normal mode, so that's why we are at the speed we are, about 21, 22 miles per hour. Not much of a wind when I checked on the map before taking off. Believe it was about 8 to 12 miles per hour. Looked like somewhere in that range. Pan down here, I believe we've got a guy on a canoe out fishing. Drop down in altitude. Actually, as we fly over him, I'll pan the gimbal down and we'll take a bird's eye look. Very cool. We'll pan back up now. And we'll fly over this wooded area. No property or anything there. And we'll continue on towards the campground and beach area. Stay along the shoreline here, I think on both sides. And I'll swing around on the way back. Pan up just a little bit. That's some nice purplish, reddish hue in the sky. So we should be about, I think, 10 minutes or so right before sunset here on what is a beautiful June evening in Ohio, and there have been a lot of them. We've had a very mild June weather-wise, which has been nice. Not too hot temperature-wise. I think we've had a couple of days in the 90s. We haven't had a whole lot of precipitation either. See if anybody, pan down a little bit. I can't tell if anyone's fishing, over this or not. I'm the one flying. I think there is one gentleman fishing there. We'll stay over on this side as we go by him. We'll also begin to swing around here. So this is the campground. Almost dead straight ahead in the upper and middle part of the frame. And as I continue turning here, we are turning towards the beach. This lake It's mostly hand dug, like a lot of the older lakes around here. There's another person fishing. And there is the beach that we're coming around to now. And besides the parts they didn't hand dug, it was just, flat land and a valley, and they just flooded it. And it's not very deep, like a lot of the other lakes. But this one is a unique lake around the area in that they do not allow any motorboats. Wow, what a beautiful, we'll pan up just a little bit. Beautiful view of the sunset there in the lake. So since there are no motorized boats allowed, this is a very popular lake for sailboating. A lot of people come here to canoe and kayak. They actually allow scuba diving here too. I believe there is a decent number of people that come here and do that, considering we're just in the middle, the western middle part of Ohio. It is a pretty popular spot for fishing. There is a lot of small cities and towns nearby. Piqua, Urbana, and Sydney are all very close, and Troy, Springfield, and Bellefontaine are also not too far away. Probably all 6 of those cities are within about a half-hour's driving time. Those cities, 6, all range in population from about 10,000 to 60,000. Just a gorgeous view of the sky. Beautiful night to be out and be near water. It sounds like from where I'm standing by, I don't know if the microphone's picked it up, but there are a lot of fish eating. I've heard a lot of jumping going on. And I know from all the mosquitoes flying around and other bugs, there's plenty of opportunities for food for all the fish. I've seen all sorts of birds already tonight, and a couple of what I think are blue herons. They've stayed far enough away, 50 yards or so, that I can't get a good enough look at them, but I believe that's what they are. We are heading to our northwest now. We'll continue flying to the other edge of Kiser Lake. That is towards State Route 235. And we should see some people fishing over there. That's a very popular spot where people fish from. Don't see any canoes out as I look over the lake now. There were a couple of boats out earlier, but I think everyone's headed home now that the day is almost done. So the origins of this lake were back in the 1800s. It was a creek, Mosquito Creek, which still runs. We're going to see it here off to the north, and they dammed it originally, created a smaller lake for a sawmill, to power a sawmill. I don't think it lasted too long from what I read, and the area fell into neglect for a while. Eventually, the Kiser family bought it and owned it, and they donated it to the state in the 1930s for the state to turn it into a lake in a bigger recreational area. And that is what the state eventually did. They redammed Mosquito Creek, which we are going to see here shortly. And the lake has been around ever since then. About 90 years now or so. We are just about to State Route 235, which is that roadway you see. Woo! Had a dragonfly go right down on me, startle me a little bit. So I have my face in the phone here while glancing up occasionally, keeping sight of the drone. I'm going to slow down here. We'll descend in altitude a little bit. We'll go forward. You see some cars parked over there. That's a popular parking spot for people who like to fish. We'll fly over and take a look at the dam and Mosquito Creek. And you can see where the creek flows, where all those trees are. That should be, well, we'll fly just a little bit further. Looking at the map in the bottom left corner of the DJI Fly, in the DJI Fly app, to make sure that I'm not flying over the roadway. We'll pan down here and get a look at the dam and the creek. Very cool looking at it from this angle. Fly over to the right a little bit and we'll fly just a little bit forward. Taking care not to be over the roadway. And I'll pan down just a little bit more. So cool to be able to see things like that. All right, we'll turn a bit to the right. And pan back up. And we'll fly back on home. I am shooting in 4K. In HDR mode, I find that's normally the best bet for when you're flying in darker times. And it is nice, it doesn't blow out the colors or create wonky exposures or any of the other stuff that people like me who aren't the biggest fans of HDR worry about when shooting in such a mode. But I really like the exposures and the colors. Not too wonky. So we just went under 1,000 feet distance-wise away. I'll start descending a little bit. And you can see where I'm flying from, that little area right there, which is now in the center of the frame. Start flying forward a little bit. So you can see a little bit of noise, or I'm seeing a little bit of noise in the shade area there. But it's not too bad. Especially for something like an informal YouTube video like this. You can certainly live with it. Obviously, it's not like having a Mavic 2 Pro or something with a larger sensor. Do get some noise, but it's noise you can live with. So I'm bringing it down just about overhead now. And I'll go for a hand catch because the roadway is a little dirty. We're almost all the way down. Went up a little bit, kicked the gimbal all the way up, and it's now safely in the palm of my hand. Well, thanks again, everyone, for joining me on this aerial tour of Kiser Lake, which is a really nice lake. I'm going to be flying over some more lakes and wooded areas around Ohio in the coming days, weeks, and months. If you're interested in seeing more, you can subscribe, hit the bell button to be notified when I upload more videos. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.